is clowning around, mucking about a bit. So today we're going to hear from two speakers. We're going to hear from two speakers literally about clowning. How can the attitude of a clown make your life better? And rather than listening to me talking about it, I'm going to hand over to our first speaker today, Afa Simpson.
Hello everybody. Wow. Here we are. I'm a clown. Hi. So are all of you. The balloons showed that. The balloons are the perfect warm-up, like in any clown workshop I run now. I'm just gonna throw balloons at people. That was amazing. I can already feel like everyone was starting to play. Even like my family in the front row here. This is my family in the front row. But thank you so much for Sunday Assembly. I was about to say Fun Day Assembly. Good idea. Thank you, Fun Day Assembly, for inviting me today. It feels really exciting. And I'm nervous as well. But that's exciting too. So, slide. Who am I? Who am I? I'm someone who is interested, as many of us are, in how I can live my life in a way that brings me closer to whatever truth happens to exist on this strange and sometimes confusing planet that we all share. I'm curious about this world that is bursting with synchronicities and contradictions, with beautifulness and ugliness, with joy and sorrow, with togetherness and aloneness. I want to experience it all to its fullest. And one of the best ways I've found to do that and explore life in its essence is through the craft of clown. Slide! This is Zuma Puma. She is my clown teacher. She is the person who introduced me to clown. And she is a woman who's intent on remembering clown, not only as a performative practice, but as a practice for life. Her workshops, when I discovered them 7 years ago, became a haven for the parts of me that needed to come out of hiding. The parts that I believed were too much, too sensitive, too insensitive, too ugly, too big, too hairy, too desperate, too controlling, too sexual. The parts of me that I felt were unacceptable and unlovable. In clown, these are the best parts. Slide! The best parts. Clowning is a stark contrast to so many of my times in my life where I feel like I'm measured against my own or someone else's measuring stick of perfection. I felt like to be part of this world I had to make sure that people only saw the parts of me that I wanted them to see, and I had to hide all the unappealing parts. Hilariously, these were the parts of me that everyone saw anyway. And everyone saw these parts of me, sometimes more than I saw them myself. So the parts I was trying to hide were sometimes the most obvious, but because I was trying to hide them, they kind of became this kind of monstrous, grotesque thing that wasn't allowed, and so it's like awkward, awkward, strange feelings for everyone. And clowning workshops with Zuma were the first time in my life I dropped that mask in front of other people and was actually celebrated for the things I thought I was meant to hide. And my shames became transformed, still not perfect yet, but a lot of my shames became transformed into pleasure. And some of my greatest treasures and pleasures, I could be exactly who I am. Slide. And exactly who I am is not a garland of daisies. I am, as we all are, consistently a fumbling human In search for meaning and purpose and love and life and freedom, I am consistently swimming in and out of an awkward melee of awkwardness. And this is exactly what clown does best. Life in all its raw, real truth of ups and downs, of failures and of triumphs. In the way Zuma taught it, clown was freeing. Clown was about feeling how you are and being how you are and giving yourself permission to share that. Slide. It's going to get old, slide thing. We're going to figure out a new way. The point? I'm going to point. That's what I'm going to do. So the red velvet curtains of clown were parted. And in the mundane of life, I started to find the magical. There was a whole new world, a landscape formed by the streams of intricate histories of clowns across cultures. Fools were skipping through forests and dancing one leg off the edge of the cliff. Mimes were swaying in the breeze of the fields. Jesters were holding court beside the king. So, over the next 5 years since I found out about clown, I became totally obsessed. And I wrote a dissertation about clown entitled Clown as Alchemist for university, which explored how clown can transform shame into pleasure, find flow in stickiness, and all the things I've already said. We don't have to repeat them. But who is clown? Who is this strange and obvious creature? There are many, many forms of clown, and in this talk I'm also going to talk about fool. We're going to mix fool and clown together, because in my practice that's just what happens anyway. And I will endeavour to speak a brief history of clown to all of you now. We can begin with the most popularized form of clown and get it out of the way. Out of the way. Because as much as this clown is really exciting and really wonderful, and there are so many incredible circus clowns and birthday party clowns out there, it kind of hides the rest of clown behind its ginormousness. Like, a lot of people, when they hear clown, they think this clown. And that's a very small part of clowning. That's what we're all going to be really excited to know about today, is this is not the only clown. And yeah, so this is a clown that came around in the 1800s. Dates, facts, exciting. And it came around because of the big top circuses in America. And a clown at that point had to evolve because the audiences were so big and the venue was so huge that from the clown being like a sensitive, intricate person who communicated on these subtle levels, suddenly they were having to perform to these huge audiences. And so that's when the smile became painted on, the bodies became big and the hair became big and everything became big, and they became these kind of oversized visual gag sort of clowns. But this is not clown, as we all have been told now by me. This is also a clown which sparks joy and fear into the heart of many. I see nods. Who's afraid of clowns? Yeah! So don't worry, this is not the only... The clown just put up their hand. Perfect. And yeah, I'm not here to talk about the fear of clowns, but I'm very interested in the fear of clowns. So if people who are afraid of clowns want to talk to me after about that, that's exciting, because I wonder if it's just this form. So, negating this clown, stepping into the clowns that are more hidden, more unknown. This is the Heyoka clown. Now, this is from the Lakota and Dakota people of North America, and they honor a sacred clown in their communities, and still do today, called the Heyoka. This is a trickster clown, and their role is to turn the world on its head, to speak the things which must not be spoken, to accompany the shaman in ceremonies, and just twist things on their head and show a new perspective to people. Lewis Hyde, in their book Trickster Makes This World, describes their role as the laughing shadow of the shaman. Now, how does this clown come about? This clown comes about in, as many of us know, a lot of us have been to school probably, there's like the class clown in the classroom, and then the teacher's like, sit down! Nobody wants to hear what you have to say! Go to the back of the room, get out of the class! But in these communities, that child is given a role. They're like, whoa, that kid is out of line. That kid says things that other kids are too afraid to say. That kid has something special. How do we raise that child to have a role in our community and a role in our society that is really useful and honoured? And as someone who got expelled from school, I feel like that's really cool, you know? So, yeah, another thing about life, how can we actually honour the people who speak out of line, who say the things that we think shouldn't be said, who we want to throw out of the room because they're not saying quite right? How can we honour these people? Now, it's not just in this community that the clown sits beside a seat of power, or is in a seat of power. The clown is found across cultures to have danced beside those in the seats of power. For example, in their iterations, the jester. In the 1500s, Pope Leo X would introduce fools, buffoons, and similar kinds of entertainer at any hour into the papal department. And this served as a reminder that, quote, though our spiritual aspirations may be laudable, they have been known to calcify into dogma. Clowns remind us that we are equal parts devoutness and doltishness, in practice as falling over, shitting, and humping, as we are in prayer and purification. Important. And eventually, the churches got a bit sick of this, and the clown and the fool relationship to the churches and the kings and the palaces started to erode, potentially because they didn't want to be made fun of anymore, and they wanted their seat of power to be just a little bit more strong. And so the fools and the clowns and the jesters were kicked out of the churches and the palaces. But they didn't die. They took to the streets. And this is Commedia dell'arte. This is one of the most well-known forms of street clown that started to crop up in the 1600s. And from being in the palaces, now they were on the streets, and things started to take on new meanings. Stuff started to come up around selfishness, sexuality, sexual obsessions, fantasies, and political arguments and things. And they'd be there really with the people, understanding what it was that the people were interested and needed to talk about. Now, I'm going to fast forward across a lot of very important history. I'm going to pass by it. And we're going to go to the lapse of Chaplin, Jacques Tati, Marcel Marceau. And Charlie Chaplin's films, we might not consider him a clown or have thought about him as a clown before, but that's really exactly what he was, actually. And his films put a tramp center stage in an industrializing world that was putting profit over people. He was raging against the machine, just as many of these others were. They were all raging against the confines of a world which was enclosing around them, but raging not with weapons, but with magic, with beauty, with sensitivity and laughter as their leaders, and taking everyone along with them on the ride, turning the mundane into the absolutely magical. Now we are going to fast forward again. Some more people that we may not have recognized as clowns. Ali G. Yeah, I love Ali G. And a little known fact is that Sacha Baron Cohen actually went to L'École Philippe Bollier, so he's actually a trained clown. We might not think of him in that way, but he actually is. And in this role as Ali G, he really put himself in these situations with politicians, with people who thought themselves super powerful, and made us all make sure that we knew that they were absolutely ridiculous idiots. And of course, Mr. Bean, a national treasure, who totally takes the mundane of everyday life and turns it into this magical mystery of like turkeys on heads and all sorts of things. We watched it at Christmas with my uncle and my dad, and I just couldn't stop laughing. It was Very beautiful. And now this is where we come in today. And here are the women and the queers. Yeah! And we are taking over, I'm just going to say. Man, you're more than welcome to come and clown. It's just that we've been waiting a really long time for this moment. And so these women up here and non-binary people are people who I'm lucky enough to call friends and teachers. On the left here we have Sarah Wolfenden, who mimics the New Age spirituality ceremonies and creates these ceremonies about praising the North and lighting the things and just like pulls apart the kind of ridiculousness of some of that like very serious New Age spirituality. We have Julia Masley, who has the golden leg. And in her show, Ha 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 Ha, a show she insists is serious, she actually like totally changes people's lives. It's coming on soon. You should come talk to me and I'll link you and we'll go see it. We'll go see it together. It's very good. Lucy Hopkins at the top there with the armpit. Lucy is just the high clown priestess, and her show Dark Mother at the moment is around just that, dark motherhood, and what it would be like if everyone in the audience became the child of this dark mother. Very interesting. We have Riz Obolensky, who's pumping jam. She is a queer clown. They are a queer clown extraordinaire, combining drag and clown in fierce and feral ways. And then finally we have Daisy May. Daisy is an anarchist clown of chaos magic, taking to the streets. They put an Amazon bag on their head with the tip being like a sort of weird smile, and they go around the streets in a German accent, and whenever anyone says that they like their outfit, they start like blurting out about the Ku Klux Klan. It's very twisted and dark and beautiful and like really makes you think like what the fuck? and they're really good at it. So these are some of the clowns that are alive and thriving today. So now, with a brief understanding of the roots of clown and a taste of where we have landed today, we can begin to think of how clowning and fooling can apply not only as a performative tool, but as a practice to everyone in this room now. Wow, fun! It's going to be fun and fun. Because although we may not all be inclined to be performers, and there's no need to be a performer, no need at all to be a performer. That's not what clown is about. Clown for me is about process over performance. It's more important how you feel than just exploring the everyday world and performing it. And we are all human-ish in this room. And therefore, we have been idiots. We have failed, and we've got back up, and we have failed again. And if there's one motto that clown abides by, it's, that didn't work, but this will. So, we're going to go into a state of play now, because playfulness is a state that each of us was born into as children, and that maybe we've forgotten, but I think the balloons showed that we're okay. We can do this. So, what's going to happen is that I'm going to play music, and for 5 minutes I'm going to lead you through an exercise which is going to take us through two of the main parts of clowning. This is curiosity, and play. And how do they feed into one another? How can we be curious about the world? How can that lead us into states of play and beauty? And what do we find? What do we discover? So I'm going to put some music on. It's going to be great. Don't worry, it's all going to be fine. I'm going to lead you through it. It's going to be perfect. Where is So I'd like us to first just go into our bodies a little bit. I'd like us to feel what this music is doing to us. How is it coming into us? What is it making us feel? Does it make us want to move? And I invite everyone to actually stand up, because this is not going to work sitting down. It can work sitting down if that's what you want to do. So, first, I'd like you to find something that makes you curious. What is something that makes you curious around you? It could be the person next to you. It could be the fact that you don't want to do this. You didn't sign up for this. You want to sit down. Curious. So, what is it that's making you feel curious? If it's the back of a chair, the way your feet feel on the ground, is it a wall on the side of the room? Don't be afraid to move to wherever you need to go. So, I'm quite curious about this feeling. I'm curious about the sound of it. And this is a no talking exercise. If you have things to say, it's just sounds. Only say what must be said. Feel the things. What makes you curious? And the number one rule of this game is, if you are bored, change it. If you are bored, change what you are doing. Find something else. Engage in curiosity. And you're showing someone this thing that you found really curious. Are they curious about it? If they're not, that's fine. They can stop being curious about it. How do you share this thing with them without using words?
We're going to share a thing. I missed what the thing was. Bill!
You need to do with your body, do it now. What is it that you need to do with your body? You don't know why you need to do it, but you just have to do it. Do it now. Have you seen someone playing a game that you want to join in with?
Maybe not this one.
One of the best ways of playing a game is to copy other people playing that game. We're going to start making our way back to our seats. But follow the game back to the seats. What is the game you can play to get back to your seat? How can you get back to your seat with curiosity? What is a walk? How can you get back to your seat walking in a way that you just really want to walk and you don't know why? some people are having too much fun. You two. Unbelievable. Beautiful. That's perfect. Alright. This is good. Laughter is good. This is very good. Alright. So that was chaos. That was total chaos, which is exactly what it was meant to be. And I really want us to take a moment now, because this is really where clown comes in, to think about actually what was that experience for you? Really, truthfully, what was that experience? Did it actually feel quite awkward for you? Did you feel like, no, I would rather stay here. Actually, I don't want to play this game. I'm going to stand here like a sensible person, because I'm very sensible. Curious, right? Interesting. Did you want to go head first into the game? Were you like, yeah, this is the thing I've wanted to do all day, and I'm so excited to finally be doing it, and oh my god, this person is doing it too, and we're going to do it together, and wow, we're going to go. Did the person who decided they didn't want to play the game then look over longingly to the people playing the game? Oh, how nice to play a game. This is all clown. This is all clown. There is no right and no wrong to curiosity. There is no good, there is no bad, there is only curiousness. Because in clowning, you are exactly who you are. You are not pretending to be this happy, jolly person. That is, I think, how we became so scared of some of these clowns. Is that it was about people pretending to be really happy. Actually, sometimes clown is really about being like, this is so uncomfortable. I really hope they all liked this talk. Fuck, imagine if they didn't like the talk. And I was just talking this whole time and nobody liked it. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna cry forever. It's not actually, maybe, I don't know. That's part of clown. Like, clown doesn't have to be anything but as we actually are. So much to say, so little time. And exactly how we are. Ooh, wait, slide. Slide again. So, in a similar exercise to what I just ran right now, you're in this photo. In a similar exercise to the one I ran just now, in my clowning workshops, I run these for like an entire morning, a game of curiosity, and see what we find. In this one, they found a toilet roll. And the toilet roll became the most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my whole life. And it connected these people together who'd only known each other for literally, like 20 minutes by that point? And it connected them all together in this incredibly subtle, intricate, beautiful way. And then someone took a little square of it and made it into like a dove. And it was just the most beautiful thing ever. And then someone else came along and blew their nose into the dove. And the magic was complete. And it was one of the best clown scenes I've ever seen, and it was with people, some of whom had never clowned before or just had a curiosity for clowning. It's really beautiful what can happen when we put ourselves into this place of play. Slide. No, back. So when we go into these states of curiosity, then we have like the big moment of clown, and that is how do we share what we've discovered with other people. And that is the most important part, is how do we share our discoveries with others? How do we connect? That's what clown is really about. It's about connection. And the big mama clown kahuna of that is that it's through eye contact. It's through the eyes. It's actually that it doesn't matter what you're doing in clown. It matters that you're connected. Nothing can go wrong in clown if you're connected. If you're truly sensitive to what the person in front of you is needing and experiencing. If you are being too much and too loud and the person's kind of like, how can you go into softness? How can you connect with each and every person who's there? He's gonna bring the time outside, he's gonna bring 2 minutes, 2 minutes, we've got this, it's gonna be okay. Alright, so in proper clown style, I forgot my clown nose. Shit, that's a good idea. No, it's not. My clown nose is at the back of the room, and it's totally fine, it just lives there now. But I was just so excited for the talk, I forgot that I needed things for it. The red nose is an important one to talk about though. And I'm just going to have to talk about it. So, you just have to trust that the red nose is really important. When I put it on, it looks really cool. I look like a clown. Zoe, you're never going to find it. But thank you so much for trying. I really appreciate it. You know what? Come and see me after at the table if you want a little bit of red nose demonstration. I can give those a personal red nose demonstration. One-on-one. One-on-one red nose demonstration. You lucky fellows. Anyway, 2 minutes. So we're just going to speed through the next part. Sorry, timing is terrible. Next. This is ritual and clown, where you do clown and there's no need to impress anybody at all. Just do exactly what you want to do in the moment and be exactly who you are, and everyone gives you permission for that. It's great. Ritual clown. Next. Me. I made a show. It's called Dada Yaga. It's born probably from great ancestral trauma and fear of my grandmother. And my grandmother's mother, and my grandmother's mother's mother's mother. And so somehow in clown I end up turning into my grandmother. And I really find pleasure in it. And clown isn't about inciting laughter, it can be about inciting awkwardness and fear, confusion. It's fine. And so I found this character and I decided I would explore them further. Slide. And this is eye contact with the audience, making awkwardness. Slide. This is going into the cocoon of great fear. Slide. And then, something was inside this grandmother. Something interesting lived inside this grandmother that wanted to come out and play. And I wonder if this thing lived in all of my grandmothers. I wonder if this creature lived in all my grandmother's mother that wanted to come out and play. Slide. Do you think she lived? I think she might have lived in my grandmother. And it was this creature, this character, who just wanted to feel free. Just wanted to be exactly who she was, this strange, twisted, kind of weird PVC, straw-sipping, weird thing that just wanted to be allowed to be exactly who she was. And exactly who she was just wanted to fly. So, she flew, and she reached into the entrails of the embryonic womb of her past and pulled out these wings, and she actually flew. She actually genuinely flew. It actually happened. You can ask the people in Bristol who saw it. And this is what I want to leave you guys with today. That if we can explore and go into these fears and go into these discomforts, go into these strange places, go into curiosity, into beauty, we can discover so much, and we can set free parts of ourselves that we didn't even know needed to be set free. Slide. Slava Pulinin, Russian clown. In short, don't dull shit your life. You need to be a completely reckless and headless doofus, and at the same time, you need to methodically and thoroughly go through every millimetre of what you are doing. And that is what I leave you with today, in the clown land. Thank you very, very much for having me, Sunday Assembly. I feel